If in my form, if I want to use radio button, input is what? It's an element. Then what type of element I'm using? That is nothing but the attribute radio. I want to identify the text field uniquely. For that, what I will do? I'll assign the ID for each text field. The collection of frames in the browser window is known as what? Frame set. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session on web designing. I'm your Revati ma'am, faculty from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So dear student, in my last session, I started with images, list and tables. In the sense, how I can able to insert images to my web page, how I can able to create the list of items. Along with that, I have discussed how I can able to use table tags in my web page. Okay, fine. Now, in my today's session, I'm going to deal with how I can able to create forms, frames, as well as cascade style sheet. So these are the three important topics I'm going to deal in my today's session. Fine. Now, let's see what is form. I hope all are familiar with forms. Recently, we had KCET exam. To fill the KCET application, I'm going to get the form. What kind of form? It is online form. In early days, we had forms, but the forms are on the paper. But nowadays, everything is digitalized. So, we get the online form and we have to fill all the details on the online form. What kind of details I'm going to fill? That is nothing but the name, address, date of birth, okay, contact details, qualification, all those things I'm going to fill. So what is form? Form is nothing but it is used to collect the user input. What kind of input? Suppose if I want to enter name, so that is also input. If I want to select the gender, that is also input. If I want to mention the qualification, that is also input. So what is form? Form is nothing but it is used to collect the user input. So the user can able to enter the information. So entering information is nothing but the input. Okay. So often that is sent to the server for processing. So I'm going to get the form. Okay, I'll fill the information. Then I'm going to click the submit button. Now that whatever the information I entered, that is sent to the server for further processing. And HTML form is a section of document which contains controls. So what is control? Okay, fine. Let me to create the form. Think that this is my registration form. So what it is? It is my registration form. Think that, okay, our college is going to organize some events. Okay, for that, I must have the registration form. So user want to fill the details. In the sense what? Student want to fill the details. So they have to fill the name, okay, and student want to enter the name. So what is this? This is nothing but the text box. So text box is example for control. Now student want to mention the section or student want to mention their specialization. So it is course and they will get the options like B.Ca, then B.Com, then B.Ba. Okay, so one student can have only one course. So I'll go with the radio button. So here radio buttons are nothing but the controls. Okay, fine. So at the end, what I want to do, I want to submit the form. So I'm going to include the button. So here button is also example for controls. So a form can have the controls like text field, password field, checkbox, radio buttons, submit buttons and menus. Okay, these are some of the example for controls. So an HTML form facilitates the user to enter the data. So user can able to enter the data that is sent to the server for further processing. Okay, fine. Now let's discuss how I can able to create the HTML forms. See here, if I want to create HTML form, then I must include form tag. So what's my element name? That is nothing but the form tag. Okay, so I'll start with the form tag and I'll write all the form elements. Okay, then at the end, I'm going to close the form. Okay, fine. What are the form element I can have in my form? That is nothing but the text field, checkbox, radio button, label, even I can have the buttons. So these are nothing but the form elements. Okay, fine. Now, the HTML input element is the most used form element. Okay, fine. If I want to create form element, then I must start with the input element. An input element can be displayed in many ways depending on the type of the attribute. Anyway, let's see the example. Okay, fine. Before that, whatever the input element I can have, see here, input. Okay, fine. What is the type of input? If I'm using, okay, the input that is nothing but the text, then type is nothing but the text. So displays a single line text input field. Okay, so if I want to get one single line text field, then I'll go with the type text. If in my form, if I want to use radio button, input is what? It's an element. Then what type of element I'm using? That is nothing but the attribute radio. Type is nothing but the radio. If I want to use checkbox, then what is the type here? That's nothing but the checkbox. If I want to have the submit, okay, display a submit button. If I want to display the submit button in my form, then the type is submit. If I want to have the button in my form, then the type is button. So display a clickable button. Okay, fine. Let's see the simple example here, how to create a form. So to create a form, I'm going to start with the tag called form. Then I must have label. See here, I want to have the form. So it is first name. Okay, first name. Okay, in front of this, I want to get the text box. So I'll write this first name on the label. I want to print, I want to display first name. So where I'm going to display? That is on the label. So I use label. Next, input type. So what is input type? What is input type? See, I must have the text box, text field. So the type is text. Okay, and in my form, if I use more than 2 text field, now I want to identify the text field uniquely. For that, what I will do? I'll assign the ID for each text field. So ID is what? It is my first name. And name is nothing but the F name. Okay, fine. Then in my another label, I'm going to display the last name. So that's nothing but the last name. Now If I consider here also, I want to have the text field. So the type is text. What is the ID? It is the last name, right? I'm displaying. So I must have the last name. That is ID is last name. And I'm going to close the form. So dear students, this is the way I can able to use the forms to create online form. Now, if I consider HTML, I have one more important feature, that is frames. So, think that this is the window. This is my browser window. And I want to divide the windows into number of frames. Okay, number of frames. For that, I'm going to use the frames. Okay. So, see here, this is the one section, this is another section, and this is another section, and this is entirely another section. So, to divide the windows into different parts or different sections, I'm going to use the frames. So, I'm going to use HTML frames. So, HTML frames are used to divide your browser windows into multiple sections, where each section can load separate document. Okay, fine. See here, I'm creating college website and I want to display the information about the different courses. So, in one section, I want to display B.Ca information. In another section, I want to display B.Ba information. And in another section, I want to display B.Com information. And here, I want to display complete information about the college. For that reason, I'm using frames. So, to break entire browser windows into multiple sections, I'm using frames. A collection of frames in the browser window is known as frame set. Okay, so the collection, how many I have? 4. So, the collection of frames in the browser window is known as what? Frame set. The window is divided into frames in a similar way the tables are organized. Okay, fine. In my last class, we have discussed how to create a table. So, what is table? Table is nothing but the rows and columns. The data are organized in the form of rows and columns is called table. So, to organize the data in the form of rows and column, I can able to use frames. So, here the windows are divided into frames. Okay, so while dividing the windows into frames, in the sense what? All the windows are divided into frames that look similar to the rows and columns. So, HTML tag, that is HTML frame tag. To create frames, what is the tag I'm going to use? That is nothing but the frame tag. Tag defines the particular area within an HTML file. Okay, fine. To create frames, I'm using frame tag. A frame tag is used with, okay, here we came to know that what is frame set. It's a collection of frames in the browser window. Okay, fine. Now, okay, inside the frame tag, I'm going to use frame set. So, here frame set is also a tag used to create multiple windows on the browser. See here, to use frames on the page, we use frame set tag. Instead of using body tag, okay, I'm using frame set tag. So, I'm going to replace body tag with the frame set tag. The frame set tag defines how to divide the windows into frames. So, I have the window, okay. By using frame set tag, I'm going to define how to divide the windows into number of frames. the row attribute in my frame set, I can have the attribute called row. Okay, it is used to define horizontal frame. If I want to define vertical frame, then I'll go with the attributes called column. Each frame is indicated by frame tag, and it also includes the frame set tag. Okay, fine. This is the simple program, okay, used to create frames. I'll start with the HTML. I'll define the version of the HTML, and I'll start with the head, and I want to give the name to the frame. So what is the title? That is frame tag. See here, after closing head tag, okay, I'm not going to start with body tag. Instead of that, I'll start with the frame set. Okay, I'll start with the frame set. Okay, and I'm going to use columns. Okay, so I want to divide the entire window into 3 frames. So first frame, what is the size? It is 25%, second frame 50%, and third frame it is 25%. So I'll start with frame. Okay, what is the source address? frame1.html. Okay, fine. Next, if I go with the second one, that is frame2.html. If I go with the third one, frame3.html. So think that this is my window. Okay, so it is 25% what I have, frame1.html. Okay, 50% it is frame2. Okay, and remaining 25% it is frame3. And I'm going to close the frame set. Okay, so first I want to use the frame set. Inside that, I'm going to use the frame. Okay, in my frame set, I'm using the attributes like column, or I can able to use the attribute like row. And first I want to close the frame set. Okay, then I'll close the HTML. Now, another very important topic I have here is cascade style sheet. If I want to design my web page attractively, then I can go with the cascade style sheet. It's nothing but the CSS. So what is CSS? It stands for cascading style sheet. Okay, so you can able to create the cascade style sheet once, and you can able to use same style in different web pages or different website. So CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web page all at once. By using CSS, I can able to control multiple web pages. CSS is used to format the layout of the web page. So CSS is mainly used to format the layout of the web page. With CSS, you can control the color, you can able to control the font, size of the font, style of the font, spacing between the element, how element must be positioned, okay, what is the background color, what is the image, background image you want to insert, all those things defined inside the CSS. So what is CSS? CSS is nothing but the cascade style sheet. Why I use CSS? To create the or to define the layout of my web page or document. Okay, fine. So what are the things I can able to define in my CSS? That is nothing but the color, font style, font size, background image, spacing, okay, padding, all those things I can able to define in my CSS. If I consider CSS, okay, CSS can be added to the HTML document in 3 ways. Which are the 3 ways? One is inline, second one internal, and third one external. You can expect the question, okay, what is CSS? Explain the 3 type of CSS. In the sense what? In 3 different ways we can able to create the CSS. That is inline, internal and it is external. So what is inline? By using the style attribute. So what's my attribute name? That is style inside the HTML element. Okay, fine. Now what is the another method? That is internal, by using style element in the head section. Okay, we are familiar with head section. In my head section, if I use the style element, then that is internal. And what about external? As the name itself indicates that we are going to create separate cascade style sheet, and I'm going to include that one in my document, HTML document, by using link element. So what is the element name here? By using link element, I can able to link the external cascade style sheet file. Anyway, let's discuss inline CSS. And inline in the sense what? In particular line, okay, I'm going to define this style. Okay, so an inline CSS is used to apply a unique style to a single HTML element. Okay, I have one single HTML element and I want to define unique style for that. Okay, in that case, I'll go with the inline. So, an inline CSS uses the style attribute. See here, with the example, okay, I'm going to discuss how I can able to use inline CSS. So, this is mainly used to define the version of HTML, okay, and I'll start with the HTML. And I'm going to start with the body. So, inline is mainly used with single HTML element. So, what is my HTML element? That's nothing but the heading tag H1. Okay, what's my tag name? H1. And for this, if I define the style, then it is called inline. So, I'll start with the style attribute. So, what's my attribute name? Style. Within the double quote, see, I want to specify the color. Okay, then the color is blue. Okay, and a blue heading. So, what is the heading name? Whatever the message I want to display. What's the message? A blue heading. So, what is the output you are expecting? The output must be in blue color. Then I have certain paragraphs. Okay, so I'm going to specify the style. The paragraph must be displayed in red color. So, the heading is in blue color and paragraph in red color. Okay, for single HTML element, if I define the style, then it is called inline cascade style sheet. Fine. Now, I have internal CSS. Internal in the sense what? Okay, using HTML style element. If I define the style, then it is called internal CSS within the program. Okay, so an internal CSS is used to define a style for a single HTML page. For single attribute or element, if I use, then it is called inline. For single HTML page, if I define this style, then it is called internal CSS. And internal CSS is defined in the head section. So, where I am defining in my head section using style element. So, for entire page, if I want to define the style, then I'll go with the internal CSS. So, I'll start with the HTML, then I'll start with the head. Okay, inside the head, what's my attribute name? That is style. Okay, so the element, what is my element here? HTML element, that is style. And body, okay, the body of the background must be in yellow color. Okay, so the background color must be in what color? Yellow color. Then if I use heading 1, the heading 1 must be in blue color. The heading 1 must be in blue color. Suppose in my document, if I have the paragraph must be in red color. Okay, then I'm going to close the style. Then I'm going to close the head tag. Then I'll start with the body. Okay, fine. In my body, okay, I have the heading 1. This is a heading. And I have the paragraph. This is a paragraph. And I'm close the body tag and I'm going to close the HTML. And if I see the output, okay, what is the background color? That must be in yellow color. Okay, fine. Then your heading must be displayed in blue color. And if you have the paragraph, that must be in red color. So to apply, okay, same attribute, same style to entire page, I'll go with the internal style sheet. Then I have the external cascade style sheet. An external style sheet is used to define a style for many HTML pages. Okay, fine. Think that I have the website. Okay, and this website will have 5 different web page. Okay, out of 5, 3 web page must have same style. Okay, to define same style for 3 different web page, I'll go with the external. So by using external CSS, I can able to define same style for multiple web page. To use an external style sheet, we must have the attribute that is nothing but the link. Okay, so link is a tag. Where I'm going to include link? I'm going to include link in my head section. Okay, fine. Now let's see the example here. So I'm going to create the external style sheet separately. Okay, so the body must have the background color. The color of the background here is powder blue. Okay, fine. And the heading must be in blue color and paragraph must be in red color. So I'll write this one, okay, and I'll save the file with the extension CSS. I'll save this file separately, okay, with the extension CSS. Now I have the HTML document. Okay, so I'll start with the HTML. I'll start with the head. Inside head, I'm using the link tag. Okay, in link tag, I have the attribute called ref, or I have the attribute rel. Okay, and I'm going to specify the name. Then I want to write the href. That is nothing but the hyperlink reference. Okay, I want to specify, okay, by using href. What's my attribute? href. Okay, and I'm going to enter the name of the CSS file. So what is the name of the CSS file? That is style.css. So I'm going to write the entire path in my href. Now I'm going to close the head and I'll start with the body tag. Okay, in my body tag, okay, heading 1 is nothing but, what is heading 1? Blue color. Heading 1 must be in blue color and paragraph must in red color. Okay, and I'm going to close the body and I'm going to close the HTML. Dear student, in my today's session, I started with how to use forms, frames as well as cascade style sheet. From the examination point of view, these 3 topics are very, very important. Anyway, under Unit 1, we studied basic about HTML, how to use the HTML and how we can able to create a HTML document. Anyway, dear student, thank you for watching my session, and let's meet in the next session with more information about multimedia animation. Until that, keep watching and keep learning. Thank you.